All right, welcome everybody to our April 1st Friday. Our first Fridays are a monthly opportunity to learn from city and regional sustainability programs and how they can help our region and our businesses and communities become more sustainable. My name's Kathy Cowan-Becker, and I'm the Executive Director of Simply Living. And so greetings to everybody. So a couple of housekeeping items. First, just so everybody can hear the speakers, we're asking everybody to stay on mute, at least for now. And but please do feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, your name, any business or organization you might be with, or even if you're just a member of Simply Living or just a citizen of Columbus or Central Ohio. And then also feel free throughout this presentation to put your names, or I'm sorry, put your questions in the chat. I'm going to speak for a few minutes about Earth Month EcoChallenge at the start, and then we will turn it over to Sheila, and she has a couple of different presentations. We'll stop in between them for questions throughout. We are recording this, and so you'll receive a pop-up window saying that you consent to the recording. This is for people, there's several people who couldn't make it today but would like to see the presentation. So I'm going to just drop a couple of links in the chat right now. The first link here is just the Simply Living website. I think many of you are members. You probably know all about us already, but in case you're not, that's where to find more information about our mission and our programming, other events we have coming up. And then here's a series of links about how your support makes events like this possible. We have memberships, both annual and sustaining memberships. We have a business membership program, or you can just make a donation if you like, and those are the links to do that. All right. So today we're going to hear from Sheila Davis, who's here from SWACO. She's the business program manager, to talk about how businesses can become more sustainable and also how they can attract sustainability-minded consumers. But before we get to that, I'm going to take the first 10 minutes or so to tell you all about the Earth Month EcoChallenge program that Simply Living is kicking off. It's actually kicking off today. And so I'm going to share my screen. And can everybody see that okay? This is just a very short PowerPoint about our Earth Month EcoChallenge. And that is, we have a team, we have about 20 people on the team, but we would certainly welcome a few more in case you're not on it already and you would like to join. So the Earth Month EcoChallenge is centered on so it's done through an organization out of the Bay Area called EcoChallenge, but they were formerly the Northwest Earth Institute. And they do a lot of discussion courses. I think many people here may have been in some of the discussion courses that Simply Living has run in the past on all aspects of sustainability. Business sustainability is one of those courses. But recently they also added this EcoChallenge component where you could sign up to do various actions that increase your sustainability or the sustainability of your organization or business. And each month in Earth Month, they run a month-long EcoChallenge. And people form teams, and the teams, everybody on the team signs up to do certain things, and then you earn points, so it has measurable outcomes. And so it's a friendly competition among all the teams. And the theme this year is the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Those were agreed to by all United Nations member nations in 2015. And they provide a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and planet. And at the heart are these 17 sustainable development goals. They work towards ending poverty and other deprivations, and along with strategies to improve health and education, reduce inequality, spur economic growth, all while tackling climate change and working to preserve our oceans and our forests. So it's a pretty big call for the UN Sustainable Development Goals, but that's sort of the basis of this month's EcoChallenge. So the EcoChallenge itself is a behavior change program to take actions to create a more sustainable world. This is looking at environmental, social, and economic dimensions. And this EcoChallenge translates, it takes those 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and puts them into 5 categories of either daily or one-time actions that you can take, or that your team or your organization can take. So it's an engagement opportunity. They have actions that you can, and I'll go through quickly what some of those actions are in each of the 5 areas. And as you check them off, then you earn points for the team. And so we're hoping to at least, there's like 500 teams, I guess worldwide really. There's 24 in Ohio, of which 4 are in Central Ohio. So we're kind of especially looking at them as our peer teams and see if we can do as well or better than they're doing. Okay, so here are the 5 sections that these actions are into, and I'm not going to read every one of these out for you, but just to give you an idea of some of the things you can sign up for, like calculating your water footprint, making zero waste meals, taking 5-minute or less showers. There's also a checkbox you can check if you already do some things. Like people have told me, I already take 5-minute or less showers. So you can say, I already do that. Reducing animal product consumption. I think that's a daily one. And you sign up for, I'm going to do X number of vegetarian or vegan meals per week. And so there's some interesting ones, and there's always on each of these, learn more about the Sustainable Development Goals that go with this particular category. And also in each of these, you can make up your own goal if there's something that's not here that you're thinking of. So in health and equity, there's things like, looking at the ingredients of your cleaning products and seeing what are they. A lot of them are pretty toxic. Looking at how to dispose of household chemicals, tracking your purchases and looking at what are the companies like that make these products that I'm buying. Learning how to communicate with nonviolent communication, spending time outside, learning about gender diversity. Some of those are under health and equity. Education and livelihood includes things like thanking your educators, engaging in active listening, volunteering in your community, which a lot of you probably already do. Work-life balance, talking to your friends, which is an important one for the climate crisis. It's just people are not talking about it. And people like Catherine Hayhoe have said the most important thing you can do about the climate crisis is to talk about it. Look at impact investing. These are some of the things under education and livelihood. Economy and communities is one of these areas for the Sustainable Development Goals. So it's things like looking at fashion, and I've just been recently learning about fast fashion and how so many of our clothes have plastic, like basically plastic in them, and that they break down in the environment. Mending clothing instead of just throwing it away and buying new clothing. Getting an online energy audit. Creating a readiness plan. Choosing clean and renewable energy, which is, if you are in Columbus, then you are probably on the Clean Energy Columbus 100% renewable energy program, but maybe call up AEP and find out about that, or find out, call your energy provider. And if you're not in that plan, go ahead and get in it. Finding out where your energy here comes from. And then climate and ecosystems is its own category. Reducing single-use plastics is one I signed up for. Learning about invasive species, supporting pollinators, looking at xeriscape gardening, which is gardening that uses less water. Joining a climate action organization. Citizens Climate Lobby is a great one, but there's several in Central Ohio, and calling your elected officials. So we are kicking off today. Once you join our team, and I'll put links in the chat once I unshare my slides, how to do that. We are asking people to register on our website through Simply Living, but the main point of that is to get you so that we have your email so that we can communicate with you about this. And then you also sign up on the EcoChallenge site itself. And when you do that, you can join the Simply Living team there. You can sign up to do these actions, however many you want, whichever ones you want. There's like 60 total. And there's also like a team board, and you can post to that. You can see what teams all over the country are posting, and you can also post and communicate with the team members there. So those are the links, and I'll put all these in the chat, but this is to register with Simply Living that you're doing this, and then this is to register on the Earth Month EcoChallenge site and join our team there. And this last one is just general information about Earth Month EcoChallenge. So I will unshare my screen. And there we go. And let me put those links, the last links I had in there, I'm going to put them in the chat so that you have them, and then see if we have any questions about that. Okay. So, right, so Ryan Fauci from Claytonville Green Spot is here. Thank you so much. And you do, you're on the Green Committee for the Clintonville Area Commission, which I wish my area commission had a Green Committee. You're doing volunteering education in Clintonville on sustainability matters. And so look them up on Facebook, Instagram, and Nextdoor. And welcome to Ray Laird from the Compost Exchange, a very good example of a sustainable business here in Central Ohio. And yeah, I think that's it. If anybody has any questions about EcoChallenge, you can put them in the chat, or email me if you like, whatever you like, or just look at some of the links that I posted there, and that'll give you more information. Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Sheila. This is our main attraction, to talk about how businesses can become more sustainable and how they can attract sustainability-minded customers.
Hey, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. Some of this information that I'm going to be sharing today, you guys maybe already know about, or maybe haven't learned or didn't know about. So I'll just invite you to investigate as I talk, how well you're doing things, or if you come across some of these myths that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And let's advance the slide there. So just a little bit about me. My contact information is there on the screen. I also put it in the chat for you. I was hired in July of last year, actually, to be the business programs administrator. And I work with businesses of all sizes in the Franklin County, which is our SWACO jurisdiction. And I help them implement sustainable recycling programs. It's a free service, so feel free to reach out if you need technical assistance. If your business has hard to recycle items, you need help with that, we are here to do that for you. I'm going to share with you today, if you didn't know about SWACO, I wanted to just cover some basic things that I think are important about our organization. We came into being in 1989 when the law was passed in the state of Ohio that created the 52 solid waste districts. And Franklin County is its own standalone district, since there are 88 counties in Ohio. Some counties are combined to be one district. But we're also the only district in the state that owns and operates the landfill. We're one of the top operating landfills in the nation. I think we fall within the top 25 landfills, which is kind of a neat thing. SWACO is working to divert materials from the landfill to extend the life of the landfill. And of course, if you haven't heard, the goal is to be at 75% diversion by 2032, which is one of the reasons we want to work with businesses. So why are we even talking about recycling? From the recent characterization study that we had done in 2018, it tells us what types of materials are coming into the landfill. And this very graphic picture is helpful in the sense that the largest material coming to the landfill is food waste by 15%. 1 million pounds a day goes into the landfill for food waste. Second largest is cardboard at 10%. So if you look at the middle, the blue, 25% recyclable material, that's the material that I focus on, because that's what's generated at businesses. So today's talk I really created was, I'm calling it the 7 myths of business recycling, because I hear it all when I'm out there helping businesses, and I just thought it would be a fun way to examine what tools we offer and how we can overcome these objections to recycling. So myth number 1, it's too hard to implement recycling. And maybe you've heard this from people in your community. If you've had, been at a backyard, a picnic or camp, a barbecue, and some like, yeah, we don't recycle, it's too hard. Well, I'm going to destroy that myth, because SWACO has a step-by-step tool that basically allows you to build a recycling plan. And it's a a 7-step process. It applies to every size business. It even includes how to do an audit for your business. You can have diversion numbers and you can have a starting point. So it's really not hard to do that. Plus, we have these fantastic educational programs that help provide the content and the information you need as an employer or as a business to educate your staff. Myth number 2 is employees don't believe that their company is really recycling. So the attitude here, I think, is fake. No one is, this attitude that no one's really recycling. It can be addressed easily by using this audit tool that we have, and that allows you to track your diversion and report your numbers to the stakeholders in your business, to your employees, to be transparent. And when you understand your waste and what's generated, then it's easy to share, and then it's easy to increase buy-in. Every business will have people on their team who are skeptical that a new program might work, but we can quickly win them over by implementing our tools that help you track the data. One of the biggest challenges businesses do have is that everyone's recycling at their desk and they're putting the materials in the correct recycling bins in the landfill bin, and then the breakdown happens with their custodial staff, whether that's an employee that's on site or it's contracted service, and the recycling ends up in the dumpster. That does happen, and unfortunately we work to correct that. We have tools to help them with the education process, especially with working with contracted employees that are coming onto their site to help them with recycling. Myth number 3 is that haulers don't really recycle. Well, the materials that can be recycled at your business are going to depend on who your hauler is. And this is the challenge here in Franklin County, because if you have curbside recycling, all your recycling goes to the Rumpke MRF. Everybody is recycling the exact same thing. We know that the MRF can process glass and plastic cups now and all kinds of materials, but haulers like there are other haulers like Waste Management, Republic, Local Waste. Not all of their materials are going to the MRF if you're a commercial account. So you have to recycle with what they process. And Republic and Waste Management don't process glass, so they don't want glass in their recycling. So I think this is where some of the confusion happens, is because what you're doing at home and what you're doing at your place of business, they are going to be two different things, because it all depends on who your business has as the hauler. Myth number 4, recycling is always contaminated, so why bother? Well, if your materials are always contaminated, then you have a signage and a bin placement problem. And this is something SWACO can help you fix. We know that people need pictures on both the landfill bin and the recycling bin to help discern what materials go where. And the signs need to match the program that your hauler takes. So as I said before, if they only take paper, aluminum, cardboard, then that's the signs that need to be on your container. Even though we know glass is recyclable, you might be able to set up a glass collection at your business where you might take that home to put in your curbside, or to one of the drop-off bins that SWACO has in the community that you could put those materials in. We say don't give up if you have contamination issues. We suggest you number your bins so that you can track which locations are challenging. You can focus your efforts then on educating the staff who are using those bins in those locations. And you ultimately may decide that you're going to get rid of those bins or move them or place them where maybe a program ambassador or a green team member can help kind of police it and help with educating. We know that no program is 100% perfect. We would like to see that people keep their contamination under 20%. The 5th myth is that people don't care. Well, SWACO has great resources that help educate people, and we can change people's attitudes from I don't care to care. And simply by building awareness and creating acceptance that there are issues and businesses can make a difference. And finally, when we engage people to be active participants in your recycling program, it will be successful. We also have the recycleright.org website, the SaveMoreThanFood.org site. These provide a wealth of information and videos that can be shared with employees to bring awareness to the need to recycle and divert from the landfill. I know when I share that 1 million pounds of food go into the landfill daily, That's usually an eye-opening figure, and it's usually a business that has never heard of that figure and didn't realize that that was happening. So we're building awareness by sharing, and then it engages them to investigate what could we do differently. You know, another myth that we hear is that if my business builds a recycling program, it won't last, you know, because we have high turnover, or employees are too busy to focus on that. But we of course want programs to last, and we know about personnel turnover. So we created a program that's a document that you can treat it as a living, you know, breathing document where you can update and have information. So when there is turnover, the document contains all the pertinent information that you need to pass on to the new person who will be running your program. We know that stakeholders want to be informed, and employees need to know that their efforts are working. And that's why we also help you with diversion reports, and we help you capture the data that's needed to provide the feedback. The seventh myth is that our customers don't care if our company recycles. Well, we all know on this that the customers do care, and we think about it. You know, blatant disregard for even recycling the bare minimum, which is cardboard, is the fastest way to lose customers and lose money. With 500 trucks coming to the landfill every day, I have been on the landfill tour multiple times, and every time that I've been up on the landfill, there has been a compactor full of cardboard coming to the landfill. It's shocking. It's like burying money, because at $140 a ton, cardboard is something you can make money on, and a business that's generating that needs to be aware that they can recycle that. And then lastly, I wanted to share that consumers want to support companies that match their values. And this type of consumer is called the LOHAS consumer, which stands for Lifestyle of Health and Sustainability. I'm going to pause there because I bet you there are probably questions before we jump into the LOHAS topic. Let me look at the chat real quick.
Yeah, there's a question from Doug that I think it was a direct message to me, so I'll just read it out to you. It says, "Hi Sheila, do you have any strategies and suggestions in print that help businesses reduce, you know, before recycling, doing reduce and reuse, such as purchasing washable ceramic mugs instead of single-use cups?"
Yeah, that's part of our education you know, process to help businesses, you know, convert over. We don't want them buying the red Solo cup, because that's not even a recyclable cup. We'd rather see them using ceramic mugs. And you know, I have a company that I'm working with that has kegs on certain Fridays during the year, and they purchased enough beer steins for everyone to have one, so they don't have to buy the red Solo cup. So we certainly do encourage that.
Mm-hmm. And a couple of other questions. One comes from one of our persons who couldn't be here today, but she's in an organization where the people they sometimes have food or snacks at an event, and the person who's running that thinks that she says it takes so much water to wash regular silverware that they think it's better to have plasticware than to wash silverware. And so our member is very frustrated by that. And are there any talking points we could give her to explain to them why that is not the case?
Well, you know, there's an old, I'm sure we've all seen the show Seinfeld and all the characters that are in that show. And each of those 4 people in the show have personalities that, you know, are outrageous, like Kramer, and Elaine is very emotional, and George is very analytical. So you need to figure out what personality you're talking to, and then you can provide them with either the stats that they need to make a better decision, or what is it that would you know, appeal to them to listen to what you're trying to, I would say, sell them, because you're selling them on this idea that they are not going to use plastic. And I can share that off if someone wants to email me separately. I can go into more in depth on how to do that. That's been a tool that I've used many times in work relationships when you're trying to accomplish something that you need to get everyone on board to do. You just got to talk their language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So Vilvi says that our company barely generates waste. Is there a minimum amount of waste to make, I think, make recycling worth it?
Oh, that's a great question. That's why we encourage everyone to do the visual audit from the beginning to determine what your baseline is and determine if it's worth it. So you might not think that you're generating because you don't see it and you're not in the office, but maybe the warehouse or another part of your facility is generating. So we would just encourage you to try the audit tool. It's a downloadable tool. It's free on SWACO.org, and it will take you right through how to assess what your and better manage your waste streams.
Okay, great. So Julie asks, how do we find out if a school district recycles with a certain company?
Well, the fastest, easiest way is to go look at to see what dumpsters in their parking lot. Go up to the elementary school and see what the dumpster is. That's how you would know what school districts using which provider. Of course, if you didn't want to do that, you probably would just need to contact the school administration, whatever the number you have for your local district, and they would be able to tell you.
Mm-hmm. Great, yeah. And we heard last month from Ari Alex about the SWACO, and I think it's SWACO, or maybe it's Rumpke, but they're going to be placing recycling bins at like big recycling bins at various apartment complexes to try to.
Yeah, so we're working on, it's a pilot program called the Multifamily. It's right now within the city of Columbus. It's a partnership between SWACO, the recycling partnership, and this, the city of Columbus. And that program is kind of for the city to test if there is a want for recycling in communities. There are lots of communities that are already recycling. They're already using maybe a valet service like Trash Cab, who comes and picks up their recycling and takes it to the MRF for them. Phase 2 of the program will be multifamily complexes outside of the city of Columbus. It'll be anywhere in Franklin County. That will probably kick off around June or July this year. And I will actually be in charge of that program and helping those communities and apartment condo associations that they want to add recycling, walking them through how to do that, the education that's needed, per tenant to make a successful program. Okay. I don't know how the tip fee is established. I just saw that question was asked. That's a great question. It's an operations side of things, and I'm in the innovation and program side, but happy to point you to the right person. If you want to email me your information, I can forward that question for you.
Okay. And Ryan is asking, is there a concise list of which haulers recycle what?
Working on that for you, yes. So like I said, I started in July of last year. I'm building a business incentive program that helps businesses, and there will be some classification. So like a hauler that takes everything would be a multi-stream kind of recycling. And then there are going to be haulers that are just cardboard only. We have plenty of haulers that are only cardboard, which is fine. That fits their business model. And then what I would call is a specialized category. This might be like Royal Paper, who collects a lot of business paper, but they'll also take cans and bottles. They don't take the whole gamut. They take some of it. So we are compiling that list. Hopefully that'll be something you can download from our website. It'll definitely be in the next 6 months. It's just one of the spokes in the wheel that I'm working on for all these different tools and resources that we're building.
Awesome, great. Yeah, we'll look for that. We have a comment from Ray from the Compost Exchange. Their mission is to collect and recycle 90,000 tons of food scraps. Like composting is really, kind of the answer to this, getting the food out of the stream. So and convert them into nutrient-rich compost. They currently serve over 3,000 Columbus area residents this year, and will collect over 1.2 million pounds of food scraps. So that's really great work.
Yeah, and the challenge we have here in Franklin County is we don't have any compost facilities within the county. So it's been a challenge with the infrastructure. And I know SWACO is involved in, talks about bringing a composting facility so that it would be able to be local. We have been working with communities for local waste food drop-off programs. think there's 8 or 9 communities now. Upper Arlington's one. I don't have them all the top of my head, Bexley maybe, but there's ways that we have been able to help them create these food drop-off sites so that we can collect that food waste and divert it from the landfill.
Okay, great. Doug has just got a comment here about washing cutlery. There's an organization that he's working with called Upstream Solutions, which has data that shows the ROI for using cutlery versus disposable, even with the washing. So I'll provide that to our member who was asking about that. That's really great to know about as well. And then Ray is asking, in the past few years, studies have been done to determine the value of food that is tossed out each year by the average family of 4, bought with the best intentions but did not make it. Could that figure be put out there widely?
Yeah, we started a year ago the SaveMoreThanFood.org website. It's a brand new website that was built to educate the public. You can take the food waste quiz to see, are you a food waster? There's a tool on there that helps people plan better. Like if you're having Easter dinner and you're having so many people come over, like how much food should you buy? We've provided some tools that help people make better decisions, with their grocery bill. We teamed up with Kroger. There's a way you could take a picture of whatever ingredients you might have in your refrigerator. Maybe you have 3 things or 4 things, you don't know what to make with them, and it's maybe a lemon that's about ready to expire. You don't want to throw it out. You can take a photo of that and you can tweet it to Kroger and they'll send you a recipe. And all that stuff's on the SaveMoreThanFood.org website. But I'm with you. We need to get more information out. We are working on that. We have tons of Recycle Right campaigns and food, awareness campaigns. So there is an effort that SWACO is making to help people understand the challenges of food waste.
Yeah. As Ray puts here, the average figure is $1,600 to $1,800 a year for an average family of food waste.
Yeah, because you also have to think in the amount of transportation costs and the food that gets the trucking and the fuel for that, and then it gets taken to the store. You're fueled to go to the store to buy it, you bring it home, and then you don't eat it, you throw it out. It's like those are all part of that calculation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Why don't we move on to the next presentation?
All right. Let's see here. The next one is about the low-cost consumer and why your business should care. I would be curious to know in the chat if you have heard this term or not, if it's something you have heard. I heard about it several years ago when I used to actually sell waste and recycling services. So it's not new to me, but it could be new to other people. And of course, LOHA stands for Lifestyle of Health and Sustainability. And it's a group of people that they prefer doing business with companies that promote a holistic worldview and that share their values. So I would venture to say that all of you are probably LOHAS consumers because you care about all this stuff. So this is, how you are described, right? There are 5 main, a lifestyle health is, there's 5, what I'm trying to say is this consumer could be male, female, young, old. The demographics that define them are not like other demographics where we might say, women 24 to 36, that would be a certain category. The LOHAS consumer is across all graphics, or all demographics. And they basically, they want to buy from companies that build quality products and services, but have the same sustainable initiatives and goals that match their own and that are important to them. And let's see if I can advance this slide. There we go. There's 5 main market areas that define this type of consumer. You've got the healthy living. This is the most common entry point to the market. It encompasses this organic foods, the natural products, the nutritional supplements, and a variety of health and fitness pursuits. The second is alternative healthcare. It's the consumer that's actively seeking out information related to integrative healthcare or holistic disease prevention, maybe an acupuncture, chiropractic business, or homeopathy. And then personal development. This is perceiving the connection between physical and mental health. The LOHAS type take a strong interest in personal development, self-help. They are investigating mind, body, emotion, and spirit connections. They are likely to take yoga or meditation or Tai Chi, as well as to purchase books and listen to podcasts and take classes on related subjects. They just like to learn. And then another of the 5, this is the 4th one, ecological lifestyles. They see their health and the planet's health as inherently tied, and they are tending to embrace recycling, green building, ecotourism, and all sorts of eco-friendly home and office products. They are actually better informed than your average person about these types of topics. And of course, sustainable economy, from renewable energy sources and socially responsible investing to fair trade principles, what's called the triple bottom line accounting. This is your social, your environmental performance, and fiscal profits all together. The LOHAS consumers like to promote fair, ethical, and sustainable business practices. So, who are these consumers? You would see them in the store. They're label readers, they're savvy media consumers. They are early adopters or influencers. They are likely to read the fine print on your packaging, your website, and your advertising. They want real, they really want real, from your ingredients in your food to the photos that are on your Instagram. They will not take your word for it. They will research you. So then why should a business care about this type of consumer? Obviously, recycling is the bare minimum. You have to do more than that to attract a LOHAS consumer. But if you're new to this and you're not recycling at all, you're not doing anything that's sustainable, then we always start with recycling. It's the easiest thing to implement, and you can branch out from there into other areas like energy consumption and water conservation and things like that, reducing your carbon footprint. You can evaluate your supply chain and address anything after you start recycling. If your business is not recycling, you're definitely going to miss out on a huge growing segment of the population. It's looking to buy your products and they want to pay more, and they go elsewhere if your values don't align. And then I've got on here some additional resources. The waste audit tool is obviously under the understand your waste section. You can find the recycling toolkit under the develop a recycling plan. I put on there the Save More Than Food website and the recycleright.org site. Both of those are owned and operated by SWACO. They're great resources, especially if you don't know what to do with something. The Recycle Right site really helps provide you with alternatives, options. In fact, somebody had mentioned, what could I do instead? I think that it's even on there for cups, like to, instead purchase ceramic mugs for your coffee. That's on there. And I would say that's the end. If there's any more questions, whoops. I could go to the chat and see what's in there.
Yeah, I don't see any more questions immediately in the chat, but please feel free to add them. One general question I have is, what can and can't be recycled changes. We just started taking cups and the tub-like containers. And sometimes I have a question like, which one, is this a tub? Is it not a tub? And especially if you are a business, rolling that out for your employees, like how do you educate your employees about that, along with just your customers?
Yeah, so I mean, the first place you have to start is to determine who your hauler is, and then whatever they are able to recycle is what you'll be able to accept. And the reason that Republic and Waste Management don't operate material recovery facilities here, so that's why they're not accepting everything. And if you find that you want to be able to recycle more, then we invite you to investigate your contract and when that's up, and then you go out for bid to maybe change haulers to align with your values. But once you figure out what you can and cannot recycle based on your hauler at your business, then educating is just a factor of using the tools that SWACO provides. The recycleright.org site is excellent, especially if you have Rumpke as your hauler at work, because everything that you're recycling at home would apply there. And the tubs thing is pretty much, think of anything that's in the dairy case, from butter to cottage cheese to sour cream to yogurt. That's a tub. So that would be recyclable.
Mhm. Okay. So Ryan says, for any that may not know, the City of Columbus has an elegant reuse application for yard waste. You can buy Comtil at most, if not all, the mulch dealers, and it's sold regionally, and here's a chat there. Do you have any thoughts on this product?
It sounds like a wonderful product. SWACO has agreements for yard waste with Ohio Mulch and Kurtz Brothers. So when your waste is at the curb at your residential community, it's getting picked up. That's where it's going to get processed, and that would be separate than what the City of Columbus has. So I'm not familiar with the Comtil program, but it's similar to what we probably have with Ohio Mulch and Kurtz Brothers.
Okay. Esther asks, do you offer a master recycling program?
That's a great suggestion. We don't presently right now, but there has been talks to create one. It would be nice to share our knowledge and have other people to be ambassadors, especially with working with SWACO. As you can imagine, with Earth Day coming up, the number of requests that we have tapped out. Everybody in our department is going to something or doing something or presenting somewhere. So if we had some volunteers that were master recyclers, they could help us. So there's nothing offered just yet, but that's certainly been a topic that we're investigating to help, especially since our community is growing and the population's growing, and there's lots of work to be done.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to talk for a couple of minutes about the, I guess, the Sustainability Ambassador Program happening in the Hilltop? Are you involved in that one?
That is a program that SWACO is doing. It's not one that I'm directly involved in, but Mary Long is my colleague. She works with communities, and they decided that they were going to try to improve recycling in the Hilltop area. That's kind of a conversation between the City of Columbus and SWACO that came about. And I think Keep Columbus Beautiful is involved in helping to find ambassadors so that we can do that door-to-door educational campaign that's needed to help people understand what can and cannot be recycled, and and overcome those objections of like it's that I was just talking about in the program with the myths that it can't be recycled, or people don't want to recycle, or it's too hard to recycle. I don't have any specifics on that program that I could share other than that. Unfortunately, I'm not as haven't been in a meeting on what they're doing lately, but I do know that it's definitely a near and dear to our heart program, because we want all these communities to be able to have the ability to recycle and recycle more, especially if we want to hit that goal. I mean, SWACO is at 51% in the county for recycling, where the national average is 35%. So to reach the 75% goal by 2032 isn't really that far out. It's only about 24 points higher that we have to achieve versus starting at 30% and trying to get to 75. Like, we're already very much headed down the right path. And we know that businesses are contributing 60% of the material that's coming to the landfill that could be recovered. Like, it could be, recycled, or donated, or, it doesn't belong in the landfill. So, so focusing on helping businesses implement programs or improve the programs that they have will help us reach those diversion efforts, to reach those diversion numbers.
The 75%, is that the percentage of households and businesses doing any recycling, or is that a diversion rate? Or I wasn't quite sure what that.
The goal is to have 75% diversion from the landfill, and that's the materials that are going into the landfill.
Okay.
And right now we're diverting 51% as a whole, the Franklin County and the community.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, of the 50% that's going to the landfill that we're not diverting, the makeup of that number is higher for businesses. And so residents are doing a great job, and businesses need to step up, because 60% is coming from businesses. So we know that we need to improve our business recycling.
Okay, and so if businesses enacted things like, instead of using paper plates and plastic silverware, they had at least I guess they had dishes that were washed, or they had, some kind of reusability component, or people could bring in a mug.
Yes,
that would
that's
help.
true. And get rid of the single-use water bottle and start using your Yeti cup or whatever you're using to refill for water. Lots of businesses are doing better at that, than they were 10 years ago. So I recently had a conversation with DSW, their warehouse and distribution headquarters here in Columbus, and the person that was hired for their sustainability initiatives came on board last year. Like, the company created a spot on their in their management level to address corporate social responsibility and sustainability. And she had mentioned that, she's been in this industry doing the same work since the 90s. And back in the 90s, it was like being in a canoe by yourself paddling uphill. And it was really hard to get businesses on board or to do the things that we needed to do to be sustainable. But now, with this kind of paradigm shift and the more awareness about, recycling and all these other climate change, things like that, she said it's much easier now. It's like being in the canoe with a bunch of paddlers and you're floating down the river, and she just has to steer now because she has the expertise of her what the company needs to be doing to be successful in these areas.
That's really
that's
good
kind of
news.
Yes, it was kind of refreshing. So not all businesses are doing bad things, and many are doing great things. And then there's some that are doing some things, and we want them to do more. So it's just my job to connect with those businesses and help them navigate this path, help them improve. Some of the challenges they have. I visited the Columbus convention center. So when they have a convention, you would be shocked at the amount of stuff that people just leave behind. And, they hauled it there, but they don't haul it home. They might be a vendor at the show, right? And it's mind boggling. So it becomes a problem for the person who's in charge of that. Like, what do we do with this? It's a spinning wheel that maybe the person at the table could, visit that vendor and spin to win a prize. It's like that kind of, all kinds of crazy stuff that they have to figure out what they're going to do with. Whereas maybe in the past, it just automatically went to the trash. But now we think differently, and they have partnerships with, Goodwill and those kind of places, because, that kind of stuff, maybe someone else wants to buy. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah. Are there big differences in working with like larger businesses like a DSW that has a warehouse and a lot of employees versus a really small business that might have under 5 employees, or maybe even be a single owner?
Yeah, no, well, we work with all sizes, and the tools are designed to be scalable based on the size of your business. The biggest difference is usually larger corporations have, directives that they need to be zero landfill, or they need to reduce their footprint. So they're really working hard to figure out where hard to recycle items might be able to be recycled. Maybe they have a plastic component in their manufacturing process that's really going to waste right now. And so is there someone who would buy this plastic and turn it into pellets to be used for something else? So we try to connect businesses with industry, and that's why Ohio Materials Marketplace is another resource that exists for business. So if you had pallets or things that you want to get rid of, you could post them for sale or for free if you just wanted to donate them. And you can also go there and say, oh, maybe someone is generating a lot of sawdust, and maybe you need sawdust for you're using it in chicken coops or something. Like, maybe there's some use for it. Like, you can connect to businesses that have materials and kind of, work with the circular economy.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions from anybody else? Okay.
One thing I'm going to add to my presentation here is that if your business is a tenant in a building, and sometimes your hands are tied because maybe the landlord doesn't want to pay for recycling, you can't convince them to add recycling, or maybe you're the only business out of 10 tenants that wants to recycle, because I've seen that happen too. You don't have to give up. You can still have a recycling program. If you are just a really small, maybe 5-person office, you could coordinate to collect your recycling, and you could drop it off at any of the the free drop-off bins that SWACO offers. There might be one close by. You all take turns, and maybe, Sheila has the month of April and Kathy has the month of May, and it's just a responsibility you have to do once, every 6 months, because there's 5 of you. That's an option you have. The other option is that there are businesses that offer what's called valet service. They will come to your business and they will take your recycling for you. So you can, contract with them. They'll give you a 96-gallon tote, just like you would have at home, or maybe you need 3 totes because you're larger, and then they'll pick that up for you every other week or weekly, or however you want to set it up. So all is not lost. You don't have to give up because your landlord doesn't want to participate. As a tenant, you can take ownership of the recycling program that way.
Yeah, that's great. That works. All right. Well, thank you to everybody who is here. Thank you for being here and asking a lot of great questions. And you can also contact Sheila. She put her information in the chat if you have questions that you think of after this. I'm going to add in the chat one more time our Simply Living links. Your support makes events like this possible. And yeah, so look on our website and our calendars, our newsletter. Weekly community news goes out every Friday. It just went out this morning. Lists all of our upcoming events and lots of community events, anything having to do with sustainability and a lot of health. The LOHAS customer really describes a lot of our members. And we have a business member program that, because our members are so sustainability minded, businesses that want to reach people like that can become members of Simply Living. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you.